All right, I think we're live, dude.
We're live?
What's up, Colin? We're live, man.
What's going on, man?
Missed you last week.
I know, man. I missed it too. I had a date with slaying some chickens. So
Really?
yeah,
I understand. Okay,
that
so-
was an experience that my wife was like, "Hey, we got to slaughter some chickens, so
Wow.
we need to handle this." And so yeah, that's what I got to do that
How
night.
was that? That sounds intense.
It's fine. I got to use my fancy Bark River knives and all that fun stuff. So that's always a good day.
Sounds a little stinky to me. I don't know.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was actually pretty fun. And
Cowboys,
butchered.
man. You
I
do
had
some wild
six
stuff.
roosters, and got done in an hour or so, and we're rock and rolling.
Yikes! So good eatings now.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, when you
Stock?
actually start eating them, they're frozen, and
Nice.
we're rock and rolling, man. But I watched. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a decent amount of it, and getting some calls in and stuff. Like,
Yeah, we had a really good show. George kicked ass, man. He was
right.
he was Johnny on the spot. I loved every second of that.
That's right. Yeah.
So let's talk about tonight, right? What are we doing? We have a pretty cool guest. I'm very excited to have this guest. We're going to announce her now, right? But are you stoked? I mean,
yeah. So I first saw Becca, and I'm going to butcher her last name. I'm going to just say Switzer, and she's nodding her head yes backstage. So let's go.
Not named after a cigar. It is not Swisher.
But so I first saw her before I even got into roofing. I was thinking about it, and I went to Roofing Insights, one of Dimitri's events in Orlando, and I saw her, and I was like, "Wow, this girl is a freaking rock star,
Powerhouse."
Yeah, right. I was really impressed, and so I followed her kind of since then. And when I saw that you and George had booked her, I was like, "Heck yes, let's go!" So I think I briefly.
I'm going to take the credit for that. I said, George, we have to have her on the show. And George was a savage that somehow made it happen. So
there we go.
I don't know. He got Becca's attention somehow by the graces of God. And here we are. But I would agree with you. She's in my feed. I have been following her now, but she was in my feed a lot because I follow a lot of roofing stuff too. And she's riveting. She's a very intelligent girl, but she's got some depth to her. I mean, it's very obvious. She's a standout character. Right. And there's some spiritualism behind her. She's got some other things going on. She just, once you see her, you can't unsee her. That's my take on her. So to have her on the show and to pick her brain is going to be very exciting.
And before we bring her out, I briefly was like, "You live like out in the mountains or something, right?" And she said, "Very much out in the mountains." And I was like, "All right, I'm remembering seeing photos now." And you guys know the movie Shooter, all right? So Mark Wahlberg's out living in the middle of nowhere. Like a few videos she's posted, I'm like, Shooter vibes for sure.
Yeah, mountain scenes and snow
that's right.
And all kinds of stuff.
So we'll have to ask
hear about that. Exactly.
That's right. So
let's bring her out. I think we should get the backstory on her and find out what she's all about.
Awesome.
Sure she's not. Here she is. How you
everybody,
doing?
Welcome, Becca.
Hey, everyone. Oh, I could have
joining us.
That was about the nicest intro I think I've ever received.
Yeah, we're really trying to ham it up for you today.
Right. I feel hammy. Yeah, I feel very. Which maybe I should feel unsafe considering I'm here with a cold-blooded animal killer.
Yeah, that's right.
I swear I didn't know until 5 minutes ago. Just like you, I don't know. I'm thinking different things now. He's crazy.
Yeah, I won't tell you how I did it. All right.
Oh Lordy,
that's funny.
So Becca, we want to get down to the nitty gritty, but before we do, I mean, I'm really intrigued to learn about. Well, we already labeled you as a superhero, right? So like with every good superhero, we want to know the origin story. So we'd love to know like who the hell you are, where you came from, and how'd you wind up in roofing. But take us from like the beginnings. Who are you and what are you about?
So the beginning of my professional career, or like how deep are we going?
Well, tell me about third grade,
Third grade. Oh, wow. I was obsessed with dolphins and whales in third grade. I spent a lot of time just drawing underwater ocean scenes, and I was mostly just obsessed with animals at that age. Yeah. But
and that's carried forward. I was checking you out earlier today to kind of get prepped, and you were swimming with dolphins like a week ago in Bimini, and
yes.
Was there like telepathic things going on? Were you telling them things under the water?
That
was an amazing video shot.
I can't confirm that, but it was really cool to have these moments where like, for example, the water most of the time was going to be between like 15 and 25 feet deep where we were at. And at one point, we were with a pod of spotted dolphins, and one of them, I can't free dive very far down because I just can't hold my breath. I need practice.
Yeah.
But there was a dolphin that was like below me in the water, and he was just standing up like vertically like this, like just staring at me. And I was looking at him, and I was just like doing this, like waving with my hands, and then he like did it back to me, and I was like,
God,
"It's amazing!
incredible,
It was so cool."
There are some incredibly intelligent creatures. They're so smart.
They're magical. I loved it so much. I booked another week to go back in September, so I'll be back doing that again.
No kidding.
All right, so we've just learned you're super outdoorsy. You're a nature nut.
I love animals.
You're in the mountains of Colorado.
Yep.
Okay, and this is all crafted by, you've architected your life at this point. You're doing what you want to be doing.
It's interesting. I feel like yes and no. I feel like there are things that just kind of happened that I just didn't resist, and then it became my life, like in certain ways. Like if I look at my life story, it's like, okay, I chose to drop out of college, and that was a great call. I started doing sales, but then my ex-husband was the one that convinced me to do roof sales, and I just said, okay. And I did that. And then it was like, then I learned how to do that. And I'm like, well, what do I know how to do? I know how to teach people how to do this. So I started doing that. And then even the houses that I'm in, moving to Colorado was a deliberate decision, but the house that I'm in right now, I bought my last house sight unseen too, but I did more research. This house I just bought sight unseen. Wow. And I didn't realize exactly how remote it was going to be, but the housing market was so competitive at that time. I found this house. It was on 36 acres. It was amazing. And I was in Houston actually at a roofing conference at that time. Wow. And I texted my realtor, and I was like, get me that house. I was like, make an offer. He's like, do you want to see it for? I was like, I don't care. I'm like, let's get it. And it went under contract. And then it was funny after it, I was under contract. He called me up and he was like, what do you drive? And I said, a Jeep. And he goes, oh, we'll be okay then. And I was like, what do you mean?
What are you telling me, buddy? Where are we going with this?
It's it's like a mile and a half, just like dirt mountain road. And I was like, okay. Well, I met him at the bottom of the road to like go up to this house for the first time seeing it ever. And driving up it, it's a 4x4 trail.
Oh, like, Lord. That's so cool though.
Yeah.
Now, you do a ton of traveling, or are you kind of camped out working from home these days?
So I just really started doing a ton of traveling over the last like year or so.
For business.
It's funny. Like I got into this business because part of the reason, like the appeal was I'm going to be doing information marketing, which I can do from anywhere, right? Anywhere I have Wi-Fi, I could do it on the moon, right? If I wanted to. But over the course of my life, I think I've had such a hard time. We don't have to get too personal. I don't really want to.
No, we're on the right path here.
I'm going to give you very condensed form. I had a very challenging upbringing in a household with like very mentally ill parents. And so when I was old enough to leave my family and like go out, and I had to be an adult very, very quickly and like take care of myself because there was no fallback plan. Like my parents were not a fallback plan. I was completely out of contact with them, and all my relatives in Canada. And I didn't actually get to know them until my mid 20s because my parents were so crazy. They like cut us off from our whole family. It's this huge story.
Wow.
So anyway, long story short, as soon as anything I got into, I was really successful. I was really successful at selling Cutco knives. And then I got into roof sales. I did really well at that. And then I got into teaching people how to sell roofs with Roof Sales Mastery. And that just took off like a wildfire. But I have been imprisoned, might be a little bit of an exaggerated word, but I've really been imprisoned by this mindset of like survival. Like no matter how well I'm doing, there was always the like, you can't stop because
I'll tell you what, if it makes you, well, I don't think you're feeling bad, but I was going to say, if it makes you feel any better, we hear this story again and again and again. It's a recurring theme. So many of us find our drive from struggle, right? I mean, that's really is a recurring theme. And you said it recently. I saw a post about struggle, right? Like struggle brings success. You need struggle to get anywhere. And the people that I see that are the most successful, the people that are hustling and making things happen, generally have some big life scenario at some point that was the transition, right? It was the light switch, and then magic happens and away you go. And you look at that as your blessing, right? Like, I mean, it sucks, but it's like, if I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
So good on
100%.
you to identify it and not just cover it up at the rug and say, oh, I don't know what happened. Like,
Yeah.
no, this is your moment. This is what really turned you into Becca. But
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Becca is Roof Sales Master. You see the logo up on the screen. She trains and instructs on how to sell, how to recruit, and how to grow your business. Obviously, we just got a taste of the fact that she started in roofing sales. But how long was the evolution? How long have you? When was the first time you touched a roof sale?
It was 2010.
Okay,
I got roofing. I was
been at this for a
21.
while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine. It's so weird. Like, how is time flying so much?
I
That's
know.
right.
How am I this old? What's happening? Like, stop. But
That's
yeah,
the thing I think about the most.
yeah.
How to
Well,
capture time because it's fleeting, right? Let's get things done immediately.
life
And
is
never stop working.
flying. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't know anything. It's so funny. I remember, so my Cutco manager was the man that I married, and we're divorced now, but he was my manager, and I had moved to Kansas City with him because he opened an office in Kansas City for Cutco. I was like his number one salesperson. And I remember one day he called me, and I remember it clear as day. I was driving down the road. He goes, "Hey, do you think that you could sell roofs?" And I was like, like on a house? He's like, "Yeah." And I said, I mean,
He
I
wanted to make a transition.
guess. I was like, I mean, I guess like if somebody, sure, why not? I'm
Yeah.
like, sales is sales.
Somebody
Whatever
else could do it.
salesperson can do. Yeah, why not? And he's like, okay. And he starts telling me about like the storm restoration thing where he's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. Like these hailstorms come and these roofs get beat up, and then the insurance company pays for it, and people only have to pay their deductible. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. And I said,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, all right. And that's how I actually ended up getting into roof sales. But it was crazy because when I showed up, there was no training. It was just like ride around with Chris for a few days. And I'm like,
That's right.
what? I'm like, is there a book or like a movie I can watch? It's like, no. I'm like,
Let's formalize this, right? So you knew that
cool.
something was needed more.
Yeah.
And that's what you've evolved into.
Yeah.
And that was 2010. That was like, roofing has evolved
Oh, yeah.
so much in the last 15 years. So, I mean, PE was like not in roofing in 2010, maybe very lightly, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't have the huge private equity firms and the huge storm chasing companies. And they were there. We just didn't know about them.
Well, PE
So,
woke up to home services in the last 10 years, more so the
right.
last 5. It's really catching fire, which is
Yeah.
kind of scary. I mean, look, I entertain them. I'm in a deal right now, and I'm negotiating a deal. But if the money's right, the money's right. But what's scary is the long run, right? What happens when they buy everybody up and they sort of reorg the whole world and how everything? I mean, it's happening on materials, right? Home Depot's buying everything.
Yeah.
SRS is buying everything. All the big fish are eating the little fish. But what happens on the install side when all these guys that don't understand the business, they just know the numbers, are now in charge and they're just trying to squeeze profits? I mean, it's just kind of a scary situation for the little guys.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some conversations. I'm just thinking of one in particular with a guy, I think it was like South Carolina, maybe, or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. And he got on a consultation call with me earlier this spring. And a PE company had bought him and his brother's company, but they were still like running it. But he's like, we don't know if we like this. Like our
Yeah.
hands are really tied about, like things that we would want to do or things that are good for the business. Like we're on this like crazy strict budget, we're under the thumb of these,
You're not in charge anymore. You're not making decisions.
Right.
You're following
yeah,
orders. But I mean, hopefully that payday was nice.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like a one world order is already being ushered in our,
That's
I don't like
exactly it.
that.
In,
Yeah.
in this industry, it is for sure.
Yeah.
I view it a little bit differently though. Yes, PE they're buying really, really well, what they buy materials for versus a small guy, very different. But I view it in a way that the small guy, like people crave real life interaction. We can only get so much from scrolling and watching videos and whatnot. Like having a real life interaction and like helping the small guy. I don't know. I just feel like the small companies have a huge opportunity in this big private equity push. I think that there's a lot of people that really want to support the small local guy. And you just got to play it. And that doesn't mean you have to be a one-man band. All right. That doesn't mean you have to be tiny, small, but my company, we run, I think we're at 15 employees right now. Nothing huge. Of course, all of our roofing crews are subs, but we run 15 employees. We're by far the largest in our area, but like people love that, right? When private equity comes in and they got their 3-hour, fancy dancy sales pitch and all the fun stuff, like,
right.
Don't get me wrong. Ours is, I was with the customer for 3 hours today and we sold them, but it's because they wanted me there. They wouldn't let me leave. Right.
Yeah, do you want me your iced tea? You're like, sure.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
They ever ask to get something for you, you always say yes.
Always. Yeah. Even if it's a LaCroix.
Like ice, extra ice. Get in the freezer there for me.
Like, do you want an 8-ball of cocaine? You're like, wow, I haven't touched that stuff since the 80s, but yeah, I guess.
Call my wife and let her know I'm not going to make it home.
Oh gosh, it is roofing.
So
that reminds me, Colin, of what you just said. It reminded me of something I said the other day. I hate how much content is out there that's just AI, like it's pure AI, and I'm like, I feel like people are going to rebel against this. Like, we don't want to see an AI person working out. We don't want to see an AI beach. Like, show me Fiji. It exists. Like, show me a real person. So yeah,
people forget that the consumer, that has this subconscious element to them where they're screening you and they don't even realize they're doing it. They scroll right past AI garbage. It's so obvious and it's so canned. If it's not authentic, you miss the boat entirely. Like authenticity and like so many guys are scared of the camera, but I mean, let's talk about content. That's a great topic. Becca, when did you start really pumping on constant content?
Right away, 2014, or end of 13, I guess, like right when I started Roof Sales Mastery. I mean, I remember I went to, it was an event held by Brendan Burchard, who's like a guy that
really
monetizer.
Yeah,
one of the OGs. And I remember him saying content is king. And he said, give away some of your best stuff for free. And I was like, okay. So I sat down and it was funny because it was like there was a wide open space. Nobody was teaching anybody roof sales. And so YouTube was so easy. I just put out shitloads of content, like just quick. I would record everything I did. Like if I had a sales call, if I had a coaching call, I recorded it. I just chop it up and I would just constantly just put stuff out. And we have a starving audience. That's the best seasoning. And so, but I just...
You definitely have the chops for it. When did you know you had the chops? Because not everybody is as bubbly and, camera friendly as you.
I mean, I don't know if I ever have felt insecure about putting myself out there. I've always just had a bold creativity about me, I guess. Even when I was a little kid, I liked being... I'm a Leo, if anybody's into zodiac signs. Like I like being in the spotlight. Like I like to entertain. I like to speak. I like to, that's like my bread and butter. So that has never bothered me at all. I can get on stage and talk to I went to Salt Lake City a couple weeks ago, and not only did I do a training there, but on the spot, the guy asked me if I would sing the national anthem. And I was like, okay. So I did it.
Is that like something you do? Are you a good singer? Like
I am a good singer.
Okay.
I am a good singer, but that's one of my greatest fears is singing in front of people. You can't tell in the video, but I was literally like shaking like a leaf, but I did it. And I was like, maybe I'm over my fear now.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Huh. So many, many talents, but I want to, you said something about like not being afraid of putting yourself out there. And I think so many people get stuck in this, like they're supposed to be, we're in a man's world and men don't put themselves on camera, right? Or real men or whatever. And we get, I don't know, like we trick ourselves into believing like, this shouldn't be recorded. Like, did you have to like create any SOPs for yourself? Like, okay, I'm setting up the camera every time I'm on a sales call, or it was just, no,
I just hit record on like a screen recording device. And literally, if you look at my content, I have built my entire business on my iPhone.
Incredible.
If you look at my content, half the time, just like right now, I don't have a stitch of makeup on. I'm out in the woods half the time, just hiking, recording on my phone. Like there's
That's
no,
the beauty of you. It's the raw, like you see what you get. It's like
yeah,
you just lay it out, and
Right.
you're just honest and raw and so matter of fact. A lot of it really is. I think your angle is like the commonsensical theories to how to get shit done, but
yeah,
but that's lost on so many people. They want some high polish magic show when it's
yeah,
like it's do the hard work, right? Do the hard work, but use some common sense in the application. I mean,
yeah.
so
Right.
much of that. But your content hits. It's very put it this way: you watch one, you're gonna go, all right, let me see what else she's got. You kind of stay on the channel. So well
Thanks.
done, kudos to you.
Thank you.
So tell the audience what it is you do. Let's talk about your business.
Yep.
What exactly you do on the day to day? What's your job?
So basically, Roof Sales Mastery is I have built a completely turnkey, repeatable process for scaling roofing companies. So it has a recruiting process, an onboarding training class. I have online advanced sales training, and I have sales team management training. And then I also have a course with Alina Wilson where we teach Xactimate and supplementing. So like it's really the full gamut. But it's a dummy proof process at this point, literally like a recipe that a roofing company invests in that and buys that for me, and they can instantly go and hire, train, and retain sales reps and then maximize their claims through supplements.
Okay.
Right. Is this insurance heavy? Like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I actually did just create the retail roof sales training that I launched this spring. It's kind of like an auxiliary program, but my main stuff is going to be like insurance centered
Okay.
because
How,
that's what I grew up on. Yeah,
how
but I
deep
have
do you get with the Xactimate stuff? You get heavy on how to supplement and how to use the software and
oh
all
yeah.
the little tricks and hidden features and all of that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I always tell people it's funny because when I'm on a sales call, I say, "Can I say something really salesy to you?" And they're always like, "Yeah." And I go, "You're going to want to take a shower afterward. It's going to be slimy." Like the supplement training alone in this whole business owner's like package will literally pay for the entire investment in 3 to 4 supplements. Like
100%.
it's yeah, that stuff. It's funny because now I don't personally spend as much time in the supplement and Xactimate world. Like Alina, my partner, she really took that and like she manages that part. We're basically like affiliate partners with it. So I focus way more heavily now on like the recruiting, the sales training aspect. But I mean, that's what I got famous for when I first broke into the industry because it was like, it was so easy to sell. It's like, look, I guarantee to help you add an extra $4,500 per claim. So I'm
Great.
going to sell you this training and it's going to tell you all the line items that you're not getting, how to get them, what you say, how to handle adjuster objections. And then of course that evolved into like my homeowner letters and Alina obviously is like the most, she's knows more about Xactimate software than probably any person on the planet. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So our powers combined were just like,
Cool.
off to the
Makes
races.
sense.
Yeah.
That's right.
So do you stay with the clients, or is it like a subscription where they pay monthly and then they get additional supplementation and can access to you, or is it like subscribe, pay once, get your hands on everything, and I'll see you when I see you?
Yeah, I get a lot of criticism from other business owners because they're like, why aren't you charging people every year? But they just buy a package from me, they own it for life. And then what's included with that is like eight live group coaching calls. So like I will be there. I can answer questions, check on their numbers. And there's other bells and whistles. It depends on what package that they purchase from me because I have like the full business owner scaling package all the way down to like more basic recruiting and onboarding stuff just to get their toes wet. But yeah, it's like it depends. I also am a partner, an affiliate partner of Contractor Supplement Solutions, and they're an outsourcing company for supplements. So when people buy my program, CSS will do 3 free supplements for them, which basically pays for like 80 to 90% of their
Yeah,
investment.
sure.
Right.
So
It's
I
crazy.
have it set up really quick. It's a no brainer. Like when I get on
I
a
would
call,
think.
yeah,
So I have some Xactimate experience for sure. I'm in Connecticut, so we don't get hail.
yeah,
If anything, we'll have the occasional hurricane, and when there's a catastrophic event, I shake my ass. I resubscribe to Xactimate Online, and
right,
then I'm scratching my head for like a day or two, like, oh shit, I got to remember how to do all of this. And I
yeah,
get on YouTube and I figure it out, and then away you go. But it's like writing a book, right? The more you embellish the story, the more line items you put, the more creative you are in how you need to do the rebuild, the more money you're going to make. So many
yeah,
guys are lazy, and this is the way I approach things with Gutter app that we're building. So many guys just don't know how. It's like writing a really thorough quotation. So many guys just slap on the line item in 3 words and put a dollar amount next to it.
Yep.
That's not going to get you anywhere with anybody. I don't care if it's a homeowner or an insurance adjuster.
Yeah.
You need to embellish and explain just how cumbersome this project is. And then it's just building value. If it's a homeowner and it's a quotation, you're building value and letting them know all the steps and all the places you're going to touch that house. And then you could justify the price. And for the adjuster, and you know more than I know, but I've dealt with hundreds of these guys. A lot of them are knuckleheads. They're either lazy and don't want to do the work. They want you to write it all out, or some of them are just plain dumb, and they don't even understand what the rebuild process is. So it's on you. The onus is on you to build it, but you have to have the software. You have to know how to use it. So that's awesome. So like if I wanted to, let's say a hurricane hit in September here, and I wanted to get my chops again, I could jump into your program and get a crash course and get running fast with that software.
Oh yeah, we cover like every line item to add, because most people, like especially in roofing, most guys are stuck asking for the same handful of line items over and over. They're still beating their head against the wall over ridge and starter, OMP, flashings, right, ice and water shield, drip edge, and it's like, you guys, there's so much more in Xactimate that the adjuster doesn't have a rebuttal scripted out in front of him for. Every time you ask for ridge and starter, he's going to say it's included in the waste. Every single time you ask for OMP, he's going to say it's not enough trades. And if you have 14 trades and a partridge and a pear tree, he's going to say it's not complex enough in nature. If you ask for drip edge, he's going to say that he doesn't know for code upgrades. And it's like, so I figured out all these line items. I call it my master list of supplemental items, but there's like 100 things that most people have never heard of. And how do you look up something in Xactimate if you don't even know what it is?
Right.
I can't look up a word in the dictionary if I don't have the word to look up. Right.
Exactly.
So it's like teaching them not only what line items to capture, but also what to say. Like I always tell people this. I'm like, look, supplementing is a sales pitch to the adjuster.
Right. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just like, holy shit, this is just sales. It's a sales pitch to the adjuster.
You have to justify your case. That's what you're doing.
Exactly. And guess how many guys slap, just like Frank just said, they slap together just an estimate with line items and they just fire it off to the adjuster and they're like,
and then they get all mad. He won't pay for the roof. And dude, you did a horrible job.
It would be the same. Like, let's say that you're a door-to-door salesman and you show up at some random lady's house that's never met you before in your life. And you knock on the door, she opens the door. And the first thing you do is you stick a contract in her face and you say, sign here and buy this roof.
Yeah.
Your closing ratio is going to be 0%.
Right.
Hey, you guys at home, are you feeling Becca? Are you getting Becca's energy here?
So many people. And so Becca, just for like context, the gutter industry is what the roofing industry was in 2013.
Okay.
Right? It was really, really, really easy for Frank and I to become the influencer or the people that people listen to, I guess.
Gutter installer ballers.
There we go. Gutter installer ballers. There you go. But it was really easy because we just started putting content out there. Right.
Yeah.
So, so that's where we're at, and we're fighting. Like, it's so easy to show up. Like, guys are, we can't sell gutter for more than $8 a foot in my area. And it's like, I literally have clients in Gutter Launch that are selling for $16, $18 a foot in your same area. Like, they're just following a sales process. They're not showing up, writing it out on a piece of paper and saying, here you go, ma'am. Like,
they're building value.
Building value. That's it.
And they're showing the customer what they're getting. Just like you're saying, you have to be showing the adjuster what you need to be doing, because they don't know what the heck, they don't know how to put a roof on.
While we're at it, Becca, what can you speak on with Xactimate when it comes to rain gutters? How to embellish an estimate for rain gutter removal, detach, reset, or new. A lot of guys too were installing 6-inch gutter, and for so long Xactimate only showed 5-inch.
Right.
Or it was like steel. It was some like junk material. It wasn't like of equal value to what we're hanging.
Yeah.
Where's that hidden in Xactimate? What do you know on that?
I mean, so like gutters, things that I used to do, tricks up my sleeve, detach and reset the gutters, like especially if they were hung through, for example, maybe they were hung through the fascia metal, and the fascia we had to detach, reset, or even replace. Or we do things like ladder jacks for 2-story gutters. That's an easy one. Nobody asks for that. It's like, get ladder jacks.
Good one.
Or you have to know that like the dump fee, this is more in roofing too, because we're talking about roofing and gutters, but like the dump fee is not included in in that. And so you can get either a single axle dump truck or a small dumpster for the gutters. Is the gutter actually installed through the drip edge, or is it over top any of the felt paper? All you need is one picture that shows like, oh, well, we had to work around this, right? Or can you get additional labor hours for a tree that's in the way,
an obstacle? Yeah.
Right? If there's difficult access anywhere, there's so many things that people don't. General cleanup hours. Hey, we had to spend extra time going through and cleaning nails and debris out of the gutters because we did this project. Like, you have to think. I always tell people you have to paint a good story. So if you are really detailed about the story, the illustration, right? Like, paint me a picture of why this is complex, and you think about every little thing. I compare it to this. Maybe this analogy will ring true. So too many people look at, we're going to use a Happy Meal at McDonald's as this example. Too many people look at their claim when they go to supplement to say, well, I have a burger, a drink, and fries. And I'm like, okay, but what you actually have is a burger, a bun, salt, pickles, ketchup, mustard.
Don't forget the sesame seeds.
Plastic tray, napkins, a plastic cup, a lid, ice, a straw, right? So there's all of these little pieces. And it's like, oh, like, you're not just supplementing to say, oh, well, they gave us a small fry and it should have been a large. Okay, did they pay for the cardboard container that came in? Did they pay for the salt? Are they paying for the person that's actually cleaning up the restaurant? Also, that's O&P, right? Are they paying? So you have to think about it very granularly.
Right.
And when you do that, you can
more detail the better. Every little detail gets a dollar amount next to it.
Exactly. Right. Details are dollars. Exactly.
Perfect.
Gosh, that's gold.
Yeah, it is. There's always gems we turn up with these amazing guests we have.
Yep.
I think for the guys at home, it would be awesome if we could kind of let you flex a little bit on two topics at a minimum. One is recruiting, and the other is we all love to talk about sales, but if you could give some pointers to the guys at home on how to find and retain quality help. There's got to be some real killers, some killer tips you have that could solve a lot of problems for these guys, because a lot of guys get somebody in, they show up day one, they call out day two, or they never show up at all. It's like these horror stories we just hear over and over again. Yeah.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. All right. Everybody comes to me with the same complaint. We can't find the right people. We can't find good, motivated people. And I'm like, okay. So when I take a look at what a company is doing, 98% of the time, this is what they're doing. They're trying to put out an ad on like Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever that they dump thousands of dollars a month into, by the way, or they're paying like a headhunter literally like 10 to 15 grand just to get some interviews. Yeah. But they're putting out an ad that says something to the effect of like, now hiring door-to-door commission roof sales reps, average commission 200 to 300K a year, be your own boss, flexible hours, yada, yada, yada.
Same canned ad, basically, right? Everybody runs that same canned.
Yes. And nobody clicks it. Why? Because it sounds like a weird MLM pyramid scheme. Get rich quick selling roofs door to door. Nobody's going to click that ad. You have to remember that like the average person in America is your audience. And what did they do? They followed the beaten path. They went to high school. They got a diploma. They went 6 figures into debt, getting a degree in like
communication.
I don't know what that is yet. German bird philosophy or something stupid. And then they come out and they're like, oh shit, I guess I need a real job. And they take a 9-to-5 soul-sucking corporate desk job that with a 401k and dental benefits, or they wait tables and they bartend to make ends meet. That's the average person.
Right.
Now, so they're not going to click your like make 6 figures in 6 minutes selling roofs ad. Now, sometimes when I say that, the knee-jerk reaction is like, yeah, but Becca, we're not trying to target the average Joe. We want to find those money.
You always see that. We want rock stars only. That rock stars line is hilarious.
Exactly.
Rock stars only apply.
A players, yada, yada. And I go, yeah, dude, you and everybody else in your market. Yep. You know what I call those people? Unicorns.
Right.
And yeah, sure, there's going to be a couple unicorns out there. You might get lucky every night. I'm one of those, right?
I see where you're going with this. You want to build the person.
You have to develop the people. And here's how I prove it, okay? I always say, and here's what I ask my clients. I say, this is not a trick question, okay? Do you think, just yes or no, do you think that selling insurance-funded roofing projects is that hard of a sale as far as sales goes?
Nope.
No. we're practically giving away roofs to people who already need them with the financial aid of State Farm, right? So we hold that in one hand and we go, this is literally like the easiest sale that there is. Why is it then that it feels like we have to find unicorns to stick around and do this job well? It's because the training sucks.
Right.
Most people's onboarding process sucks. It takes people forever to connect the dots. And I'm going to prove it to you. Okay. I'm just going to give you a little analogy.
Right.
I say selling roofs is not hard in the same way that baking a cake is not hard. It's not hard to bake a cake. There's 6 ingredients in a cake. However, if the way that let's say instead of a gutter company or a roofing company, the way that you have a bakery and you hire people off the street, they show up, they're like, let's go. And you say, cool, you're here. Welcome. You guys are in luck. You're going to learn how to bake cakes from my grandma who's won the Texas State Fair for the last 30 years with her cake recipe. Just watch my grandma and then just copy what she does. Grandma's recipe's in her head. Yep. She literally doesn't know the measurement. My grandma's like that. I'm like, how much? She goes, I don't know. Pinch this, dash that. Wow. At the end of it, grandma gets it right every single time. But to these people that are trying to learn, we're just showed them like college AP chemistry, rocket science.
That's right.
Yeah.
The exact same cake with the recipe on paper is easy bake oven. Okay? 3 instructions on the back. It's just add water, Betty Crocker's cake mix. Anybody can do it. So does that make sense?
I was talking to my buddy the other day and he was catching me up on his kids and he's got a 16-year-old son. And I'm like, what's he doing for the summer? He's like, oh, he's working at Crumble. I'm like, the cookie place? He's like, yeah. I go, what's he doing there? I'm like the register? He's like, no, he's baking cookies. I'm like, how do you learn how to bake cookies? Like, what are you talking about? It's like, you have a process. On day 2, the kid's freaking baking all the cookies. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
Yes.
It's like they systemize everything McDonald's, right? Like the register is just like literally an image of the French fry. Like you can't screw this up. It's the picture of what this person is buying. It's a burger. Press that button.
Yeah.
So that's what these guys need to learn how to do, right? And so does your stuff roll over and apply to rain gutters? Like do a lot of your training principles and
it could. I mean, you just insert gutter lingo instead of roofing, right? It's the same thing. I'll tell you, I'll prove it to you, okay? What I actually did, because when I came from Cutco sales, Cutco had everything dialed. It was like
they do a good job of training, right? I hear good things about that.
They're amazing. Oh yeah,
everything. Their recruiting system, their platform, how they manage sales reps, their training manual, their training script. Literally everything was written out. So what I did was when I got into roofing, I was like, I already know that Cutco stuff works. So I literally took the exact training and I just duplicated it into roofing, and surprise, it worked just as well, right?
Phenomenal.
So it's the same thing. It's just, it doesn't matter if you're selling pies, roofs, or paper clips, right? Like gutters. I mean, it's the same thing. You just put gutter lingo in there.
All right, fair enough.
So do you, with your sales training, is it all kind of laid out for your reps when they're out on their own? So your reps show up at a house, right? They get in the door, and then it's all laid out step by step for them what they have to do, or is it in their head?
Yeah, no, I have scripted it out word for word.
Right.
You want them to drill this stuff and learn it, like get in front of the mirror.
So do they have to learn it, or do you have it like through their presentation?
Both. So their onboarding training, I call it the new hires onboarding training. It's a 6-day classroom style training that the roofing company delivers to them in a classroom setting. There's no ride along training involved. It's crazy. Wow. I have brand new reps leave the office on day 3 and their first weekend, which is their day 4 and 5. I've had a guy sign up to 7 contracts his first weekend. Wow. 7. We can't get veteran reps to do that in a month.
Right.
Well, they're stuck in bad habits, right?
Well, they're not that good, right? And they're not that. So like everything I teach, it's literally like I give them everything. I give them the word for word ad to post, the interview script, the suggested compensation structure, the 6-day training class, which is scripted. Literally, they just have to be able to read at a 5th grade level. They print out day 1, day 2, day 3 of training. They teach it to the class by reading it. It doesn't get easier than that. The trainees follow along in a 150-page manual that I have scripted out word for word that has their door pitch, their objections, the word for word sales presentation, how to read insurance paper, literally everything's in there. And then it's like, then I have them set up for success with a contest. Most of these people have 8 to 10 inspections set up for their first weekend before they even leave training with this process that I built in there. So it's extremely dialed. It's my life's greatest work.
I love it. Awesome.
That is awesome. Holy smokes. So one thing for us, like we're mostly retail. I live in right on Lake Michigan in the Michigan side, and very, very little hail stuff, right? Occasionally wind, but we might do one insurance claim a week, right? Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But so mostly retail here. And one of the biggest shifts for me was initially it was folders, right? And so our folders were their sales pitch. So I got to the point where I was like, what the hell? Why are you not doing what you've been trained to do? I mean, classroom training, whatever. But I was relying on them remembering it. And then they get in the home and it's like they just crap the bed.
They go full Joe Biden. They don't remember anything.
Exactly.
All. Yeah.
Right.
That's why ride-along training doesn't work.
Yes, that's it.
Well, they want the trainer to do all the work, and they just want to watch. Right. Like, show me, you wise one.
It doesn't stick, and they don't have enough confidence yet, right?
Yes, that's it.
So there's a way to train where they memorize it, and then they have materials to structure it, and it's just. Again, Cutco did such a good job with it. I just straight up I copied what Cutco did.
So what are they heavy on? Is it like the warm up, or the engaging the client, like the first 5-10 minutes, or they had some magic behind? Like what was some of the valuable stuff you were able to take?
Exactly what to say. It's the script. Let me put it to you like this. Okay, here's what I've learned. Too many managers and company owners focus on the general guidance without the words. So let me put it to you like this, okay? Let's say that you've got a buddy who's like really shy and awkward and he's never been good with girls. And let's just say that Frank has just killed it with the ladies, okay, his whole life. And your friend,
what can I say?
Bill, comes to you and he's like, Frank, will you teach me how to pick up chicks? Like, I really want to get a date. It's been a long time. And you're like, yeah, dude, it's so easy. You just go up and you talk to him and be yourself and be confident and have a sense of humor and blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. That's what I say. It doesn't help. It's like, hey, build rapport, be confident, build value. Yeah. You gave them nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? So I'm giving them, okay, you go to the door, you say this. When they say this, you put your hand out. When you do this, you blah, blah, blah.
Wow, you break it down. You get real granular.
It is, yes, because then there's the question is no longer, do you know chemistry? It's, do you know how to read?
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
If you're not doing it like that, you're going to have a bad time. And that's why people think they have to rely on unicorns.
That's right.
So tell us about a couple success stories, or like how do numbers change for your clients?
Oh God. I mean, I have so many. I've got a client out of Pennsylvania. This is a great example because it's not a huge hail state either. I have a client named Ryan out of Pennsylvania, and he went from $2.4 million to $9.5 million in revenue in 12 months with 6 sales reps using my program.
Wow.
That one's really fun. I had another one recently. It's a 14-day update. This one's really good. This guy's name's Dustin. He's out of Omaha, Nebraska. He bought my recruiting and training process, and in 14 days he sent me an email and he's like, I have to give you my results in 14 days. So he hired 9 new people. He said my 9-person sales team has signed 113 contingencies and has turned in $750,000 in revenue with 55 jobs into the system. That was in 14 days.
Holy smokes.
It's crazy. I had a guy named Todd out of Arkansas hire 17 people in a month. I had a guy named Conan out of Frisco, Texas. He hired about 40 people. They were trying to do 25 million. So like they're pumping really big numbers, but 40 people over the spring. Like, I mean, you name it. I've had people message me and they're like, I've added $600,000 in profit just with your supplement stuff this year. The year's not even over, you know? So it's
incredible.
The cool thing is I always tell people, if anybody's listening to this and it's like, they're skeptical. I always say one of my favorite quotes is by Jay-Z. He says, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And so you can go all the way back to my Roof Sales Mastery company page that dates all the way back to like 2014. There have been contractors for the last 11 years leaving quantifiable numbers, so excited about the results. So you can go back and check those out. But
For the guys at home, just like little fast takeaways. We know that we now know, right? There's certain things you need to say and do, and there's all these steps. But let's be honest, and you guys need to be honest with yourselves. So many of you are not even doing a client interaction. Let's face it. You guys are walking around the house. You say, no, you don't even have to be home. I'll just go while you're at work. You're not trying to get even a one-legger. You're not meeting
emailing bid.
Yeah, or I'm going to do it virtual.
Maybe not even emailing, like leaving a
bar napkin in the mailbox.
Yeah,
we hate to see it. I always say inboxes are where quotes go to die.
Yes, 100%.
You're not an order taker, and you're not an estimator. You're not an inspector. You're a salesperson.
That's right.
Say loud.
Amen.
Right? So like, you're not just leaving behind. It's like, well, they just wanted a quote.
Yeah. Right. Well, what do you want? You want the job?
This person raised their hand and said, I'm interested in gutters. You close that person, dude. Like, you sit down, you're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go over, like, we're going to check out what's wrong with your current system. I'm going to show you a couple different options. And if all goes well, we'll figure out what we're going to do today.
Right.
Hey, here's an option and here's an option. On our payment plan, it would be this or this. Which one of those works better for you?
Yep. Yes or yes. Close them.
Becca is not, again, guys at home, Becca is not aggressive. She's assertive. And assertiveness is a necessary ingredient. You need to figure out how to become assertive if you're not. If you're smoking too much pot, figure it out.
Probably feeling a little too passive over there, bud.
Yeah. Assertiveness gets you everywhere. And you have to apply it to every element of the business, but most importantly, the sales side.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a difference.
A lot of guys in the beginning, when they're young, they're just I don't know if it's naivete, but I think it's just more so meekness, right? They're just happy to be there, and whatever comes their way in the beginning, they don't want to go out and grab the bull by the horns, and that's something you got to get over fast.
I will also say people confuse being assertive with being aggressive, and it's not aggressive. Aggressive, like everybody knows a pushy set. Think about it like dating again. You could be a douchebag and go up to some chick and slap her in the ass and say, "What are you drinking?" Right? And then you're just like, "Oh my God." Or you could be assertive. You come up and be like, "Hey, I just had to let you know, like, you really caught my eye. You're really beautiful. What's your name?" Oh, and then you get to chatting and you crack some jokes. You're just like, "Hey, I'd like to buy you a drink." Right? That's assertive. Right. And then there's passive. That's just like, you're nice, but she doesn't even know you have a penis, right? At the end of it, like, you're not going to.
She also has a dating agency where she teaches you how to pick up chicks.
Don't take advice from me. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Maybe, but it's the same thing, right? Like, there's a difference. You don't want to be aggressive. You don't want to be passive, but assertive is the sweet spot. Yeah. People want to be told what to do.
They do. They want to be guided to the answer. They called you because they have the need. They know they do. They might have fears, uncertainties, insecurities. Your job is to be their psychiatrist, right. Guide them through the whole process, shepherd them through, and get the job done, right? They need the roof. Get the roof done. Figure out how to get through to their, figure out all their nonsense and get the job at the end of the sale.
Like I said, it's true about your employees. People like to be told what to do. They like that structure. Right? Yeah. And this is why her program works so darn well, because it's structure. People don't like just like, all right, here, ride along with Chris and figure it out after 3 days, and good luck, kid.
But let's pontificate on something else, though, even a step before that. A lot of guys are suffering because guys just don't show. So what are they doing wrong with how they're either presenting their business, dressing their business, maybe their office space, how they look when they're interviewing? I don't know what it is, but there's some ugly recipe that these guys are applying that people just get turned off before they even show up for day one.
Yeah. Well, the interview probably didn't go well. Most people are not going to turn down the position just because it's awkward, right? They'll be like, okay, and then they just won't show up. So if you did a shitty interview, and a lot of people do, right? Because the interview is an extension of usually what people's crappy hiring ad is, which is terrible sales copy. So, like, for example, you show up, and the guy flashes you some $25,000 commission checks, and he tells you that this is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. And it's like Ben Affleck in Boiler Room, right? Like, you're going to be a millionaire here. He's got his Rolex on. He points to his Dodge Ram 45,000 that's like jacked up to the moon that he's bragging about that he bought. You know what I mean? It's like $150,000 Raptor or whatever. Yeah. And he's just like, and then people are like, cool, dude. And then he's like, yeah, well, you can start tomorrow. And they go, thanks. And then they're never going to show up again.
Yep.
And I might be exaggerating slightly, but
Right.
Usually it's unrealistic expectations that are set. They make it sound too good to be true, or it's too relaxed. It's too chill. There's no structure. People are like, I don't even really get like what this is, or I don't see the path that I'm going to take. So again, like, shameless sales plug here, but I script out the interview for my clients. So I'm like, don't deviate. Stay on the horse that got you in the race. Follow my interview script. It's going to talk about everything in a way that's not going to scare them. We're going to talk about canvassing in a way that doesn't make them run for the hills. We're going to talk about the income opportunity that gets them excited, but doesn't sound like Ben Affleck in Boiler Room, right? We're going to talk about this. So there's so many things, but it's usually just an extension of like how they're even advertising the job, and it goes into how they interview for the job, and then people are not going to show up. And I will also say, this is the last thing I'll say, they're not hiring enough people. The no-show rate is not something that we totally have control over. But if you're only hiring 1 or 2 people every 3 months, you're never going to build. I have people, my clients are getting 100 to 300 applicants a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Is my process.
I remember in my early days when I was growing, I've been doing this 24 years. When I was first really starting to blow up, I felt like for every 2 hires, I would lose one. It's always like one step forward, one step back. There's like this ugly like regurgitation that happens, and it was frustrating. So you almost had to like double up on the effort to come back to where you needed to be and be one step ahead. It's exhausting. How do you take the exhaustion out of that?
Well, you do it the way that I teach, which is like, okay, so we have an ad that we know works, and we do group interviews. That's the other thing. So like, let's say that somebody runs my ad and so let's say they run my ad and their budget for the week was like $250. And let's just say that they get 100 applicants with that, and they schedule 75 of those people over 3 group interviews. So 25 people in 3 groups. So you're only
think of a group, 25 people together?
Yes, because only half of them are going to show up. So at least half those people aren't going to show up. So let's just say 10 to 12 people, and that would be good numbers. Right? It might even be less than that. Let's just say 10 to 12 people show up. You end up offering the job to 9 of those people on average. 7 of them accept. 5 of them show up for training. And then you end up keeping and launching out of that group 2.
Okay.
Right.
And then you rinse, repeat. But it's not this, it sounds like a constant grind because it partially is, right? It's a recruiting never ends, but we're doing it in a way that's streamlined and structured and is dealing with volume. We're not doing these one-off things. Here's what's exhausting. Doing one interview. Okay. And then doing another single one-on-one interview. Okay. And then the next one, they didn't show up. And now you hire one person,
bad.
You take them by the hand and you personally are holding their hand for 4 weeks, and then they quit and you go, oh my God. And now you're running more individual interviews, and then you hire somebody else and you take them by the hand and then they quit. That's the thing that causes burnout. My system is just like, you show up, you do your group interviews, you run your training, you launch them. You do more group interviews, you run a training, you launch them. And it's way more manageable.
Smart.
That's right. So you've told us about all the successes, and I don't want you to talk about failures, but the successes of your clients, and it's because they're all following the thing. How many people buy your thing and then like half-ass it, and you're like, well, no wonder you're not getting the results. Right.
Single digits over the last 11 years. But it's really easy to figure out who's not following it, because after 11 years and like 5,000 plus clients that have used my system, it's funny because people they'll be like, I see all your good reviews. I tried to dig up dirt on you and I couldn't find any. And I'm like, well,
you're already off on the wrong foot, buddy.
Awesome.
I'm like, well, if I've been doing this for 11 years, I was doing people dirty. Don't you think you'd hear about it by now? Right. With as public as I am. But I always know, I say, look, the only way that this will not work for you is if you're the guy who buys the gym membership, but doesn't go to the gym.
That's right.
Or your nutritionist says you need to follow this exercise and you need to diet, but you go, I'll do the workouts, but I'm not cutting out my McDonald's, my Burger King, my Taco Bell, and my Haagen-Dazs every night. And you're like, that's not going to work, dude. So I always tell people, like, just don't be too cool for school. It's really easy for me to identify where something's going wrong by the numbers, right? It's like, okay, we did okay here, and then it tanked. Well, what did you not do? You didn't want to do 6 days of training, so you tried to pack it into 2. That's not going to work. That's not what I advertised. Right. Oh, I told you to spend $50 to $100 a day on ads. You tried to do the free ads. Of course, you only got 4 people to apply. Right. So it's always things like that. Like, it's easy to identify.
That's right.
Interesting.
Brilliant.
You know,
Yes.
and I know Colin very well. You know, we go back and forth. We've known each other for years. And then I'm starting to learn about you, Becca. One area that I think we could have an interesting conversation in before we wrap is maybe some, you know, something to inspire the audience.
Yeah.
Struggle, personal struggle, what it takes to succeed. I
Yeah.
saw something that you had posted the other day about like the struggle. Struggle leads to happiness, or struggle is required for happiness. You know, another analogy would be like no pressure, no diamonds. And I
Yeah.
know Colin and I, same thing. Like you set major goals, you're hustling, you're trying to achieve them. You have setbacks. Setbacks are a part of life. How do you
Right.
handle those? How do you maintain a positive attitude and wake up the next day and hustle and turn on your engine again? I mean, what drives you, Becca? How do you keep a high motor?
Well, honestly, it's just been a daily practice of excellence. Like, and I've had that mindset ever since I was young. I always really took pride in doing things well, and I have a little bit of an obsessive personality. So, like, I want to do things. I'm a bit of a type A perfectionist, but over time, what I realized was this.
Anybody who can take Cutco's sales process and make their own out of it is definitely a type A like perfectionist. All
Yeah.
right. So sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah.
No, that's okay. And I will just say, because this is so funny, my girlfriend Sheena, I just hired my first salesperson. I was a one-woman show up until March.
Oh wow.
Of this whole business. Yeah, I literally did everything. I built my website. I did all my everything,
Wow.
100% I did. And but my girlfriend Sheena, who became my salesperson, she like went through all of my materials first. And she goes, "Did you do meth? Like, how did you do all of this?" She's like, "I am flabbergasted." And I'm like, "I honestly don't know." I'm like, when I look back at everything I built, I'm like, how did I do that? Like, I didn't even take Adderall. I just raw dog. I didn't even drink coffee. I
Really?
just somehow did it. But here's the thing, okay? The reality is this: it's simple. Everybody's looking for the magic hack and the secret to success, but the secrets aren't sexy. People who are successful
This is true.
do shit that sucks
Yeah.
more often and more consistently for a longer amount of time than people who won't.
That's right.
So I would say the three of us are all that type of person. How do you do it? I mean, I know what motivates me. I want to hear from you guys. How do
It's
we
not
get
about motivation.
What's that?
It's not about motivation. That's what everybody always asks. They say, "How do you stay motivated?" And I say, "You don't." Motivation is fleeting. That's a feeling that comes and goes like the wind. If you're going to rely on how you feel, you're never going to get shit done. I never feel like vacuuming my
Right.
house,
This is true.
but I know that it has to get done. You take your emotions out of it. So once you decide what you're committed to doing and you know exactly what it takes to do those things, it's a decision each day to do that thing. I don't check in and say, "Do I feel like deadlifting today?" I go, "I deadlift on Mondays," and I
Yep.
deadlift.
Yep.
There's no, I override. You know, Tony Robbins said this: the most successful people are the best at overriding their conditioning. I might hear that voice. I hear it all the time. There's voices in my head that are just like, "You're tired. You've been working so hard. You should blah, blah, blah." And I go, "Okay, thanks for your input." And then I can do it anyways.
Good chat. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you
Right.
for your service, but like that's not going to serve me
That's
today. So,
Uh,
it's just a
It's too
decision.
though the repetition, right? It's just like exercise, like the repetition and the practice. When you're
Yes.
in that mindset and your practice to that mindset, when you don't do it, you feel like shit, right?
Yes.
Like I go to the gym at 5 in the morning. If I don't go, I'm angry at myself all day, and I
Yeah.
feel like total shit because my body needs it. I've gotten myself conditioned to where that's when it has to get done. It sets my day up. I feel good.
Right.
Same thing with work. I'm just automatic about it. Things have
right.
to get done. I don't care what the clock says. It's getting done.
Right. The other thing that I like to talk about is you have to flip the pleasure reward system in your mind. Most people train themselves or condition themselves to treat the reward as like the thing that's letting them off the hook. I'm just going to rest today.
Right.
I'm just going to eat the burger today. That's the reward. You have to start, when you really look at it, you go, was being lazy today a reward? It set me back. Was eating that burger today really a reward? Because I feel like shit. I feel sluggish. I gained a half a pound.
The term I've heard used, and this is what I've retained, and I this is how I talk to myself. It's deferred gratification.
Yep.
That's what I practice. I don't need the reward today. I don't need the reward for a year. I might be with software. I don't need the reward for 3 years. I
Yeah.
know the reward's going to be massive. I'm going to get my shit done. and I could defer that gratification. I don't need the pint of ice cream every night on the couch. Like I'm okay. I'll figure
You
it
want
out.
to know the cool thing? Sometimes that reward is still instant. All right.
Right, because you're like, I did it. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like, so a new SOP that I'm implementing, because obviously I can't get to every sales call or talk to every customer anymore. So I'm like, you know what? That's something I want to start doing. So 3 days after our initial estimate, I'm going to call every single customer we visit.
Yep.
And today I do that. And one of them, we sold the next door neighbor. And so I knew that. And I call this guy up and I'm just like, hey, just checking in, see how Brandon did. And he's like, oh, you guys are so professional, but like, it's just out of my budget. I think I'm just going to buy some gutters from Home Depot and put them together, piece them together. I was like, well, what if we just like ran them out and left them for you to install yourself? And he's like, well, I mean, that would make my life way easier. How much is that?
But
so rather than getting the $1,600, install, I sold them gutters for $500. And it's like, it's going to cost me $100 to run these things. And we're literally right there. So like, here you go. And a buyer is a buyer. So
it's still selling a sale.
Exactly. He'll buy something else later on. Right. So it's like, but I did that. So I did these calls. I did like 6 of them and I got to talk to 3 people. I sold that one. The next one, he was like, yeah, just a little bit out of my budget. And I was like, oh, well, I'm reading here. It looks like you guys didn't even get to meet. He's like, no. Well, when are you back in the area? I'd love to just meet you and get some eyes on the project and see if maybe, sales reps make mistakes. And he's like, I'm coming up this weekend. I'll be there Monday. And I was like, well, let's get together. Yeah. All right, cool. We schedule a time. And it's like, that's a $30,000 project, like, let's go. So like just doing the thing, it was 4:30 when I started making these calls. Right. And I'm like, I could go home, eat dinner with my family. I got some crap to do. Like, nope, I got to do this damn thing. And I did. And you got the instant gratification. Now tomorrow, maybe I don't. Maybe I'll strike out. But you know what? I'll live another day and it'll all work out. So some days you get that instant gratification. Other days you got to have that delayed. Right.
So Becca, what is your what's your deferred gratification about? What are you working on? Where are you taking this business? What are you up to?
It's interesting. I've been doing roof sales mastery now for 11 years. And now that I've turned over like the daily labor of doing my Zoom calls myself, like to a salesperson, it's really freeing me up. But what I'm really my passion has been writing. It always has been. And so I'm actually working on a couple of books right now, but 2 main projects. And it's really more of like a spiritual angle, like a spiritual development type book. Awesome. I'm very passionate about exploring consciousness and spirituality and like our connection to the divine and divine intelligence, call it God, call it the universe, whatever. But that's what I'm really passionate about is like specifically these veins of helping people have faith in an infinite, intelligent universe that they are not separate from. And then also helping people have hope and faith through loss and grief. Like I'm really passionate about helping people shift their perspective of this life experience, like this authentic human experience that we're having with practical spirituality. Yes. So be on the lookout. I will make
heavy stuff, dude. Wow.
Yeah. That's what we all need.
So does that mean thank you, George. Amazing.
Thank you. I hear that clapping there. Love that.
So do you pass on the roof sales mastery? Does that continues to run and you do your own thing? You free up your own time.
It's like so on autopilot. I mean, the only thing that I really have to do with it to just kind of keep the ball rolling at this point is I show up twice a month for 45 minutes on a group coaching call and I just make my content that I put out there. So there's no reason for me to like shut that down or anything.
No, like that. Absolutely. Keep that
open. And I still go to conferences and I speak and I do all that. But it's like now that I have more time, I'm really passionate about writing my books. That's like my next
awesome. Good for you. That's enriching. That's heavy duty stuff, right? I mean, it's so self-fulfilling to get those words on paper.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, just keeps you, it's the fire that burns inside. That's amazing. Most people are out of touch with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. So where can people find you? Where do we find you on the internet? I know where you are, but tell the audience where to find you and see your content and all that good stuff.
Well, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. It's just Roof Sales Mastery. My website's roofsalesmastery.com. And if you just want to send me an email, you can. My email is Becca, BECCA, at roofsalesmastery.com.
Awesome. And what about shows and stuff? What kind of shows do you hit, and when are you on stage?
I'm at most of them. I'll be at Roofing Process Conference in the first week of December. I'm going to be at Win the Storm. I'm going to be at Western States in Vegas. I think I'm going to be at the IRE in the winter, and then RoofCon in January,
Nice.
like in the new year. So I'm pretty much at like most of the big ones. I usually actually go with Contractor Supplement Solutions, but I speak at some of them. Others, I'm just there at the booth with CSS.
Okay. You know who I've been chasing is Dimitri. I want to get, he and I communicated a few times. I'd love to get him on this show. Are you tight with him?
I'm pretty tight with Dimitri. Yeah, I can put in a word for you.
Put in a word, please.
Yeah,
put in a word.
He's a character, isn't he?
I hear that horn back there.
George is a crazy man.
Yep. Well, sweet. Well, Becca, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I've learned a ton, and that's one of my favorite things about doing these podcasts is we always learn. I get to learn a ton.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And hopefully we get to see you at one of these conferences soon.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Come up and say hi to me. Yep. And if I don't recognize your face, don't be offended. There's something that happens between like pixelated on a Zoom and then in real life.
I'll probably be wearing the cowboy hat. At Texas, that's
that.
a little more normal, but
I love a cowboy hat. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So
that's been a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Have a wonderful night.
Yeah. All right.
See you next time. Later, everybody.
See y'all.